we will be treading into more profounder waters here. The topic which I chose, I was a little, thinking about what topic to actually conduct for the, session today. And it came upon me that Panchakhanda would be a good start. So it is a bit more serious topic than the session that you had so far, but I think you will like it. So I don't want to keep it as a monologue. I would prefer to interact with you all from time to time. It would give me great pleasure if you can be part of, the interaction. So I want to know from any one of you whether you know what Panchakhanda is and what is it? Have you heard about the term? Has anybody heard about this term? Anyone?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes. Please, Bante. Okay, Bante, not you. Bante, you are the master here. No, you know everything. But okay, so the Panchakhanda. I also have a presentation to share. Do I have permission to share the screen? Yes, I do. Okay, so this would be mainly a talk. I'm not going to fixate on this presentation much, but this would be just like a guideline that we will be. 1 second, please. Okay, so Panchakhanda. Panchakhanda would mean the 5 aggregates. This term aggregates, I don't know where it has come from. Khanda basically means a heap or a stack. So it's like a heap or a stack of 5 important things. 1 second, I'm not able to navigate, so please excuse me. Yeah, it's like a stack of these 5 things. The Buddha preferred to use the term Pancha Upadana Khanda. That's what he preferred to use. So there's a difference. So Pancha Khanda would mean the 5 aggregates. And Pancha Upadana Khanda means the 5 clinging aggregates, right? Now, what is this 5 aggregates that the Buddha is speaking to us, right? So let me show it to you. I hope you can see the screen. So as you can see, I've made this a small kind of a diagrammatic representation of this Panchakhanda, the doctrine of Panchakhanda in front of you. As you can see that there is this Rupa Khanda. This is the first one. The second is Vedana Khanda. Then you have Sanya Khanda, Sankhar Khanda, and Vijnana Khanda. Now, I know all of you, most of you are quite well learned and you know a few of these things already. But still, I would like to start from the basics. Right? So Rupa Khanda would mean the heap or the stack or the aggregate of form or matter. Form is the preferred usage for me, but for some people, the word matter brings more clarity, right? So you have the Rupa Khanda. Now, what is this Rupa Khanda? We will come to it slowly. I will explain to you in short each of these khandas. So we have Rupa Khanda. This is the aggregate of matter. Okay. Then you have Vedana Khanda. This is the aggregate of sensation or feeling. Now, please remember that in Pali language, the word Vedana does not mean painful sensation as it means in Marathi or Hindi. It simply means sensation. It could be any type of sensation, right? And then you have the aggregate of Sanya. What is Sanya? Sanya is Sangya. We say in Hindi, Sangya. So this is the aggregate of perception, right? Then you have Sankhara Khanda, the aggregate of formation or the aggregate of conditioning. Sankhara, the Sanskrit equivalent or the Marathi or even the Hindi equivalent of it would be Sanskar. And then finally you have the Vijnana Khanda, which is the aggregate of the, the mind or consciousness. I know a bit of these terms, a bit too technical, and I'll make it simpler for you. So you can see this diagram here, and then I have made the small arrows over there, which have on top of them written upadan. So upadan is the force of clinging. It is the force of grasping. Okay. Now let's discuss with an example. Now all of you know that you must have studied in school for sure that you have an atom. Okay. In general science, you've learned this. You have an atom, and then you have the nucleus of the atom. And you know what's inside the nucleus of the atom? You have protons and neutrons, right? And beyond the nucleus, you have a few electrons, right? Which are orbiting in various orbits, right? Now, what is the force that holds all of these entities together? So inside the nucleus, you have the nuclear force, which holds these entities together. Okay, this is inside the nucleus. What will happen if that force suddenly disappears? What will happen? There will be a big nuclear blast. There will be this phenomenon called as nuclear fission, and everything will burst, right? So a person is just like that. Okay, a person has all of these khandas, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana, and all of them are held by this ultra nuclear force, which is called as Upadana. It is like a force which is a decillion times stronger than nuclear force. So Upadana is the force which keeps all these khandas together, right? Now let me explain with this example here. So there is a verse which comes in the very famous text called Milinda Panya in Pali. This is a very famous text which has a dialogue between the Bhante Nagasena and the King Milinda, who was one of the emperors of the Bactrian region, which was formerly the part of present-day Afghanistan. Anyways, so there is this verse in that book, in the very beginning of the book, right? And what does it say, right? It says, Yathahi anga sambhara hoti saddo ratho iti evam khandesu santesu hoti sattoti samukti. Yathahi anga sambhara, just as the combination of parts, right? Hoti saddo ratho iti, just as the word, carriage is used when the parts are combined. See, saddo means what? Shabda. Okay? So just when we have the carriage in front of us, we don't call the steering wheel of the carriage as the carriage. We don't call the wheels of the carriage as a carriage, right? We don't call the various parts of the carriage as a carriage. No, as an entity, as a combination of these parts, we conceptualize the entity in front of us as a carriage, right? So similarly, Nagasen tells to Raja Milinda that just as the word carriage is used when the parts are combined, so the word person, satto is person in Pali. In Marathi, Hindi, we say sattva, right? Or satta. Right? So the word person is commonly used when the factors are present. So what are we? We are nothing but a combination of these 5 factors, a combination of Rupa Khanda, Vedana Khanda, Sanya Khanda, Sankhara Khanda, and Vijnana Khanda. This is what we are. This is what a person is. Now, this is quite a digression from the Brahminical thought that we have been exposed to for so many years now, for such a long time now, over thousands of years. Well, in the Brahminical thought, you don't have such a concept. What you have instead is the concept of Atman or Atma. Atma, according to the Brahminical thought, is something which has a substantial nature. It is something which has a substratum, an essence. It is very substantive in nature. It has some kind of substance which is ever permanent. It is not impermanent. It is nitya, that is nitya. Okay, it is in Hindi you would say it is shashvat, it is dhruv, right? This is quite opposed in Buddhism, right? In Buddhism, we have this concept of panchakhanda, where the khandas are substanceless. They do not have any substance. They do not have any substratum. They do not have the property of being permanent, right? So the khandas are arising and passing away at every moment. Right now, as you're sitting in front of your devices, the skandhas, as we say in Marathi or Hindi, they're arising and passing away. They're arising and passing away. So we see here that the Vedic concept of Atma or Atman and the Buddhist concept of Panchakhanda, more appropriately Pancha Upadana Khanda, is diametrically opposite to each other. Another thing that I would like to tell you is that the concept of Panchakhanda is consistent throughout the various Buddhist traditions. In Theravada, we have the concept of Panchakhanda. In Mahayana, we have the concept of Panchakhanda. In all the schools of Buddhism that persist, some of them persist even today, this concept, just like the other concepts of Four Noble Truths or Paticca Samuppada, the main concepts are as it is, which is a good thing. So we can agree on a few things with the other schools as well, right? Now, I hope you got this, and let's move on to what is this Rupa, okay? Yeah, so let's come to Rupa Khanda. Rupa Khanda, as I told you, Rupa is like its form. It's also called as matter, okay? So what is this Rupa? What is it? So what is the definition given in the Pali text regarding Rupa, right? So one definition which really caught my eye, which occurs in the commentaries of the Tipitaka, is Rupati Tasma Rupam iti Uchyate. Basically what it means is whatever is Rupati, that is called as Rupa. Now what is this Rupati? Rupati is something that oppresses you, is a Rupa. Now how interesting is that? How interesting is that? Something that oppresses is a form, is matter. Something that hurts you is form or matter. Something that strikes you is form and matter. Something that changes is form and matter. So the word Rupati entails all of these meanings. It means whatever oppresses, whatever changes, whatever strikes, whatever hurts. All of these meanings are encompassed within this word Rupati. Now, how would you actually justify when somebody says that Rupati iti Rupa is that whatever oppresses is matter? Well, it's very simply understood. At the very moment we have our bodies with us, Our bodies are the you know are the um, is an aggregate which we carry everywhere. We cannot exist without our body. And how oppressed are we with our bodies, right? We face diseases, we face discomfort, we face uneasiness so many times. So aren't we oppressed, right? Our bodies keep on changing every given moment. So isn't our body subjected to change, right? Rupati is also been subjected to dusana. Whatever is subjected to dusana is rupa. Whatever is subjected to dusana. What is dusana? Dusana is defilement. दूषित होने, दूषित करना. जो दूषित होता है वो रूप कहलाता है. Whatever becomes defiled, whatever becomes soiled is rupa, right? Ghattana. Ghattana. What is ghattana? Strike. Strike. So I have my eyes here and a particular form strikes my eyes. So my form is constantly being struck by various objects all around me. So what is happening is I'm being bombarded by all of these objects all around me. So that is also part of Rupati, right? So all of these words, Ghattana, Dusana, Rupati is something that is oppressing you, it is constantly changing, it is defiling you, it is striking you. So that is Rupa. So now let's try to understand what is this Rupa Khanda, right? Now Rupa Khanda. So you have the Chatunnam Mahabhutanam Chopadaya Rupam Iti Rupam Uchati. What it means is you have the four Chatunnam Mahabhutanam. Right? We have the Chatunnam Mahabhutanam. Now, what are these Chatunnam Mahabhutanam? So, as you can see on the screen, you have the Pathavi Mahabhutanam, Mahabhuta. Pathavi Mahabhuta. You have the Apo Mahabhuta. You have the Tejo Mahabhuta and the Vayu Mahabhuta. I'll explain this to you. Don't worry about it. I also said that Rupa Khanda is not only the Chatunnam Mahabhutanam, but it is also the Upadaya Rupam. Now, what are these Upadaya Rupam? Upadaya Rupam are the derivatives of the Pathavi, Apo, Tejo, and Vayu. Right? So you needn't, worry about these terms. I will explain to you in due time. Now let's understand what is this Chatunnam Mahabhuta. So this Chatunnam Mahabhuta are called as Bhuta Rupa. They are called as the Bhuta Rupa, right? What are these Bhuta Rupa? As I said, Pathavi, Apo, Tejo, and Vayu, right? Pathavi, what is Pathavi? Pathavi comes from this word Tharati. Tharati. Tharati means to spread out or to extend itself. So I have heard a few people discussing the Pathavi Mahabhuta, and they explained to me that it is the element concerning heaviness or lightness. Well, it is not exactly so. See, you're sitting in front of your devices right now, and you can clearly see that you are occupying some space within the space in your room, right? So you are extending your presence in that particular place. So Pathavi is an extension of you. So maybe you take up this much space, or maybe you take up this much space. So it is the element of extension. And what are the characteristics of this element of extension? It is lightness, solidity, heaviness, lightness, solidity. That is the characteristics of the Pathavi Mahabhuta. So Pathavi, whenever anybody asks what is Pathavi, Pathavi is basically the element of extension. It is how much space you take. It is how much space you take. It is the element of extension, and it has the characteristics of solidity, right? Then you have Apo Mahabhuta. What is this Apo? Apo is cohesion. You know, water flows very easily. So the cohesion in water, the molecules of water, H2O, the molecules of hydrogen and the molecules of oxygen are spread out in such a way that they keep the distance a little more than in a stone. Okay, so because a stone has some element of cohesion, but it's very less, right? So in Apo, for example, in the example of water, water flows very easily because it has a different level of cohesion. If you take into under consideration mercury, so mercury keeps its molecules close together so that they don't scatter around. So you must have worked with mercury, or you must have learned in school. Mercury always keeps within itself. So it is also a kind of metal, a fluid metal, but its behavior is very different from water. So cohesion is basically that property which prevents molecules, which basically gives a degree of scattering and a degree of contracting of the molecules. That is cohesion, that is called as Apo Mahabhuta. And then you have Tejo. So Tejo is, let me digress, it's not actually the heat element. It's actually the element which imparts sharpness. And cold and heat are the characteristics of Tejo. So it can be sharp, the sharpness of how much heat there could be or how much cold there could be. That is the Tejo Dhatu, right? And finally, you have the Vayu Dhatu. So Vayu is basically the element of motion. It's the element of motion. And what are the characteristics? Anything which is oscillating, anything which is vibrating, anything which is pulsating is said to possess the Vayu Mahabhuta, right? So these are the Bhuta Rupa. Then you have the remaining important Rupas, right? You have the Pasada Rupa. Pasada Rupa. Now, Pasada is basically the meaning of the word Pasada. Pasada basically means, it basically means a field, but a way to understand, according to the Pali Dhamma, the word Pasada Rupa would be is that which gives clarity to the senses. That which gives clarity to the senses. So we have the Chakhu Pasada Rupa. Chakhu is the Chakshu, the eyes. We have the Sota Pasada Rupa. Sota is the Shrota or the ears. Then we have Ghana. Ghana is the nose. Jivha is the tongue, and Kaya. Kaya is the body. So we have these 5 Pasada Rupa. Now all of us have Chakhu, all of us have Sota, Ghana, Jivha, Kaya, but the degree to which the clarity of each of these senses are imparted is different. Some of us might not be able to see at all. Some of us might not have strong taste buds. Some of us might not be able to hear as clearly as somebody else must hear, right? So that Pasada Rupa is that which imparts clarity to these 5 senses, right? And then we have something called as the Gochara Rupa. Gochara Rupa. Gochara Rupa is basically Gochara, it means a field. So what is the Gochara Rupa of the Chakhu? The Gochara Rupa of the Chakhu is the Rupa, the form. For me, right now, as I'm sitting here, the Gochara Rupa is my laptop screen and I'm interacting in front of you. So that is my Gochara Rupa. I see my presentation on the screen. So for me, the Gochara Rupa is the Rupa which I am seeing. Similarly, Sota. For Sota, the Gochara Rupa is Sadda. Sadda is the Shabda. Right? So it could be anything, any sound basically. Saddo basically means a sound. Right? Then you have Ghana. So for Ghana, the Gochara Rupa would be smell. It never happens that the Gochara Rupa of Chakku will be a sound. See, eyes cannot hear sounds, ears cannot see forms, right? The tongue cannot hear sounds, right? So everything has its own Gochara, everything has its own field which it frequents and keeps itself bound to. Everything has its own alambana. In Pali, we say arambana, its object. So for Chakku, it is Rupa, for Sota, it is Sadda, for Ghana, it is Gandha, and for Jivha, it is Rasa. Okay. For Kaya, it is Potnabha, but we will not be discussing that. It will entail a different discussion altogether. So these are the Pasada Rupa and Gochara Rupa. Then within the aggregate of the Rupa Khanda, you have the Bhava Rupa. Bhava Rupa has to do with the femininity and the masculinity, right? So there are two Bhava Rupas, femininity and masculinity. Despite the current discourse of today, where in some countries, there are a few people who, insist on the presence of third kind of sex or a third gender. In Buddhism, we do not have this particular concept of in the Abhidhamma. So this is purely from the point of view of Abhidhamma, right? So there are two basic indriyas of bhava, and their femininity and masculinity. Then you have the Hadayavattu. This is a very important, factor of the Rupa Khanda. So Hadayavattu in Sanskrit we say Hadayavastu, Hridayavastu. So it means the heart basis. Well, it's not exactly the heart basis. It is what we say is the solar plexus. Those of you who meditate would know something about this. So those of you who meditate deeply would know a lot about this actually. So Hadayavattu, as explained in the Abhidhamma, in the Pali Abhidhamma, is explained as the part where the two ribs are joined, the base under the heart where the two ribs are joined, that is supposed to be the Hridayavastu. And it's a very, very important place, especially from the meditation point of view. In English, we call it as the solar plexus. And if one meditates very deeply and profoundly, one can access the Hadavattu and all the things that are contained within the Hadavattu. So this is one part of the Rupa Khanda. Then you have something called as the Jivita Indriya. Jivita Indriya basically just means life vitality, life, your life. What gives you life? So Jivita Indriya gives you life. Jivita Indriya, it gives you vitality. Then you have the Kabalikara Ahara, which is nutriment. You have the space element, which is Akasa Dhatu. Now, this is quite interesting. Rupa Khanda also consists of the Akasa Dhatu. What is this Akasa Dhatu? So, Akasa Dhatu is nothing to do with sky. Please remember that. It has nothing to do with sky. Akasa Dhatu is basically a feature of limitation. So, the distance between me and you, there is this big white space. So that is Akash Dhatu, that which separates us is on account of Akasa Dhatu, that which separates us, right? In the Abhidhamma point of view, Akasa Dhatu can be understood. For example, if you have this crystal in front of you, you have this lattice structure in front of you, you have a crystal lattice. And you can see that the molecules are arranged in a manner and they have some distance between them. Now, what is that distance? That distance is Akas. That distance is Akas, right? So, हिंदी में हम कहते हैं कि दो परमाणुओं के बीच में पोल है, पोल ही पोल है. अगर वो पोल नहीं है तो वो धातु नहीं बन सकता. That धातु, that particular element cannot exist if the akasa dhatu is not there. There is a distance between my body and the other members of the family, right? There's a distance. If the distance is not there, if the space is not there, then one would not be able to differentiate between me and my other family members. So what makes us separate from each other is akasa dhatu. Right? It is also called as paricheda rupa sometimes. Then we have something called as vinyati rupa. There are two kinds of vinyati rupa. There is kaya vinyati and vachi vinyati. So there is something called as bodily communication and speech communication. So when we communicate with our body, we move or we make certain gestures. So that is the rupa. It is the it is the form of matter which is exhibited. For example, right now I am communicating to you via kaya vinyati as well as vachi vinyati. Vinyati basically means a mode of communication. So it is a mode of communication, and we make use of this mode of communication, whether it is kaya or vachi, to reach out to other beings, to reach out to the universe, to reach out to our place in the conventional universe. So vinyati is what helps us make each other understand, right? So it is a mode of communication. Vachi vinyati is mode of speech, right? So you must have observed that people have different sets of body language behavior. People have different kinds of speech habits. So where does it come from? It comes from the specific type of karma pertaining to that particular person. A particular person might move a lot like me when speaking. So I have a specific type of kaya vinyati, a specific type of vachi vinyati. Some other person might not convey how, they might convey the same things in a different way. So the mode of intimation, the mode of communication is different. For each one of us, the stack of our karmas or of our kammas is different, and therefore the way we express ourselves to the world is different, right? And then you have vikara rupa, right? So what is this vikara rupa? Vikara rupa is the characteristics of lahuta, that is lightness or flexibility, the characteristic of muduta, softness, the characteristics of kamanyata, malleability. Some of us can dance very well, some of us can cook very well, some of us can move very, very swiftly, some of us are very good in karate, like Smith here, who's a black belt in karate. So vikara rupa is a kind of rupa which imparts to us these characteristics in our body. Lahuta, muduta, kamanyata. Some of us are quite stiff, even as individuals. Even when we speak to each other, some of us are quite stiff. So that is on account of, these characteristics. And then finally, we have Lakhana Rupa. So Lakhana Rupa is the most difficult of all of these to understand. So it consists of Upachayo, Santati, Jarata, and Anchata. So upachayo is something which is the accumulation of rupa. See, all of us are made out of these bodies. What are these bodies made out of? The bodies are made out of cells, protoplasm, cytoplasm, Golgi bodies, mitochondria. These are parts of the cells. And now what are these cells made up of? God knows. I mean, the Buddha knows. We don't know what these cells are made up of. They're made up of some living matter. But from the point of view of Pali Abhidhamma, there is a certain kind of accumulation which happens, and these heaps get accumulated and turn into flesh, into DNA, into RNA, and that is how the body is formed. You know, when the baby is growing in the womb, body parts slowly appear one by one. So what is happening there is upachayo. What is happening there is an accumulation of matter, an accumulation of form. And then what happens? Then what happens is the effort to keep this persisting, to effort to keep this continuous. So it is called as santati, continuity. And then will anything continue eternally? No. There will be decay. And it's not that the decay comes all of a sudden. No. As it is continuing, as it is persisting, there is decay every moment. There is jarata every moment. So jarata is a factor of rupa. And then you have anicchata, because all of these things are happening every moment. So we can see here, these are all the 28. If you count each one of them, if you count from the top, Pathavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu, and all the way down to Anicchata, Jarata, Anicchata, you get 28. So in Pali Abhidhamma, you have 28 forms of Rupa, and this is called as the Rupa Khanda. And this Rupa Khanda is constantly arising and passing away, right? How much time do I have, Vivek ji? Because there are quite a few Rupas, Khandas remaining, but if you can just guide me on that. Yeah, is anyone there?
Hi, we have about 18 minutes left.
Okay, thank you so much. That would be nice because this topic is pretty serious and it demands, in fact, to be very frank, even 100 lectures on topics such as these would be people, the subject would scream for more clarification, because these are topics of profound depth. Yeah.
You can add additional 15 more minutes, and then we can take a question and answers from the members.
Sure.
If needed, we can invite you another time as well.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. So this is Rupa. This is the Rupa Khanda, and I hope you got some idea of the idea of Rupa Khanda. And then now let's come to the Vedana Khanda. So Vedana Khanda. Now, Vedana means, as I've already told you, Vedana does not mean painful sensation as in Hindi or Marathi. In Pali, it simply means Vedayatiti Vedana or Vedeti Vedana. Whatever one can sense, that is Vedana. Whatever one feels, that is Vedana. So according to the Pali Abhidhamma, there are 3 types of the main Vedanas. You have Sukha Vedana, you have Dukkha Vedana, and you have Upekha Vedana, right? So the sensation of Sukha, the sensation of Dukkha, and neutral sensation. So Upekha would mean neutral sensation. So Sukha Vedana are of 2 types, Sukha Vedana itself and Somanasa Vedana. See, all of us are subject to mental happiness, pleasurable sensation. Mentally, you feel happy. If one of us achieves up in, some heights of success, what will, what will the person feel? The person will feel pure joy, pure delight. That is somanassa. Somanassa Vedana. That is the sensation of delight, the sensation of mental happiness, right? That is also a sensation. It's not like, when you feel bodily happy. It's not like that. Sukha Vedana is when you feel bodily happy. On the level of the body, you feel happy. That is Sukha Vedana. And Somanassa Vedana is in the level of your mind, you feel happy. So these are the two subtypes that are distinguished in the Pali text. Then you have the Dukkha Vedana. Similarly, you have the bodily painful sensations. You sat for a lecture too long and your foot has fallen asleep, your foot has become numb. That is Dukkha Vedana. And then suddenly you are, reminded of some thoughts which were very disturbing, belonging to your past. That is Domanassa Vedana. Those are the thoughts of mental pain. So those are called as Domanassa Vedana. And then you have finally the Upekha Vedana, which are the neutral sensations. So I won't go in much detail because I understand this is the first time that we are discussing this. So Upekha Vedana, I will not be discussing in much detail. The Buddha said that Sabbe Dhamma Vedana Samosarna, or you can also say Vedana Samosarna Sabbe Dhamma. All Dhammas arise with the arising of sensations. Such a profound statement. Whatever Dhammas arise, they arise accompanied with sensations. You will not experience anything in this world without Vedana, without sensation. A Buddha is a person who is a Vedagu, a Vedagu. So, the word Veda. Veda is the Vedas, basically. The Rig Veda, the Sama Veda, the Atharva Veda, the, Yajur Veda, and so on. So, during, during the 6th century BCE, even before that, there was this thought system in India which persisted that accepted as a person who is very well learned in the Vedas as a Vedagu. Person who is learned in the Vedas is a co-vida. Co-vida is an expert, is a co-vida in Vedas, is a Vedagu. But the Buddha says it's not so. The Buddha says that a person who is an expert and who has experienced all Vedanas is a Vedagu. Somebody who has gone beyond the Vedanas is a Vedagu. So such a deep statement from the Buddha. So what all of us have to basically understand is that we have to go beyond the realm, beyond the field of Vedana. And that will bring to us ultimate knowledge, ultimate enlightenment. Till the time we are within this field of Vedana, we have to make sure that we remain unhindered, we remain uncumbered, we remain peaceful, no matter what the Vedana is, no matter what the sensation, whether it's peaceful, whether it's full of, a joy or delight. Our job is to keep distance with the Vedana, is to understand it, it's to accept it. There has to be a radical acceptance of whatever kind of sensations that you're facing. We have to accept in a way which is radical. That is the secret of success according to the Buddha, right? So all Dhammas, they arise with Vedana. All Dhammas. So Dhamma is another, this will require another, discussion on the forum. Dhamma is a word which is, in Marathi we would say, in Hindi we would say, बहुत व्यापक शब्द है. It's a very, very, what we can say is it's a very It's not a superfluous term. It is a very, you can say, prolific term, very prolific term. It means many things. Dhamma would mean nature. Dhamma would mean thoughts. So thoughts are also called as Dhamma. Thoughts are called as Dhamma, in fact. Please remember that. So whatever arises, a thought arises in your mind, and it is accompanied with the Vedana, whether it's painful sensation or a happy sensation. So that is Vedana. So this is another skanda or khanda that a person is made of. So first we have the Rupa and then we have the Vedana khanda. So I will not go into much detail here. We can now move on to the Sanya khanda. So Sanya is basically translated as perception in English. Some people translate this in Hindi as Sangya. To be very frank with you all, none of the terms, even in Indo-Aryan languages like Hindi, Marathi, or Odissi, or Bengali, none of these terms, even though they're very close to Pali, they don't do much justice as the Pali term itself, right? So Sanya basically means Sanjanati iti Sanya, that which knows, iti Sanya, that is perception, that which knows. For example, you have the Rupa Sanya, that which knows that this is the form. Okay, so it knows that this is the form and it recognizes it. It knows that this is the Sadda, this is the sound, it recognizes it. It is not doing the cognition, the complete cognition. The complete cognition is done by Vinyana. We will come to it later. But now this is merely just perception. Okay. Then you have Gandha Sanya, that which recognizes. It's a kind of a faculty which recognizes, okay, this is the form, Rupa, this is the Sadda, this is sound, this is Gandha, this is smell, this is Rasa, Rasa is the taste. This is the Photabba, Photabba is the touch. And this is the Dhamma, this is a thought, right? Anytime when you sit, wherever you sit, thoughts are constantly arising in your mind at the speed of decillion meters per second or whatever. It's a very high speed. We are thinking at such a high speed that it is beyond the comprehension, beyond normal comprehension. So what is happening is the Dhammas are crossing our mind space and they're bombarding us, and our Sanya is on alert. Okay, this thought has come. And then suddenly, like a monkey, it jumps and it takes on another branch. And suddenly then there is another thought. And then suddenly there's another thought. And then the whole chakra keeps on, the wheel keeps on moving. So that is the Dhamma Sanya. It's always on a lookout, right? So this is the Sanya Khanda. Its main job is to perceive, is to cognize, is to perceive. So that is Sanya, right? I'm going a slightly fast here because I'm sure we will get another opportunity to explain. I will get another, let's move on. And then you have the Sankhar Khanda. Sankhar Khanda is the Sanskar Khanda. Some Western scholars have various translations for this word. Some say formations, some say choices. So Bhikkhu Sujato translates this as choices. Bhikkhu Bodhi translates it sometimes as choices and sometimes as formations. I prefer to translate this as reactions or conditions. So what we have within us are three types of sanskars or three types of sankharas: mano sankhara, vachi sankhara, and kaya sankhara. So mano sankhara is basically all the thoughts that creep up in our mind, and then we react to those thoughts. So then the heap keeps on multiplying. We have this much heap first, a very small heap. And then when we react, the heap will get, it will keep on adding. And then we have this unending mountain of sankhara, mano sankhara. Mano sankhara are basically the thoughts. And if when I get the thought, I will act upon it with my speech. So if I see somebody, suddenly an image of that person arises in my mind and my mano sankhara is in action. And then suddenly I will say something, okay, that person, not so good, whatever. So my vachi sankhara is in action at that time. So I'm creating new reactions. I'm creating new conditions. So that is vachi sankhara. And then finally, when I go beyond and act with my body on the basis of my mano sankhara and vachi sankhara, that would be my kaya sankhara. So I'm acting with my body and creating new reactions. I would perhaps slap the person in front of me. So I'm creating new kaya sankhara. So these are the three types of sankhara. But a deeper understanding of Pali Abhidhamma would put in front of you the idea that sankhara khanda is actually the group of the 50 chetasikas. So I'm not sure if you know, but in Buddhism, there are 89 chittas and 52 chetasikas. So I don't want to terrify you with this technical, knowledge, but there are 52 chetasikas. And if you subtract two of them, that is Sanya and Vedana, you get 50. So the aggregate of remaining 50 is what basically is the Sankhar Khanda. Sometime later we can discuss this, right? And then finally you have the Vijnana Khanda. Vijnana Khanda, what is Vijnana Khanda? Vijnana means consciousness, the aggregate of consciousness. So Vijnana has different names, okay? So whenever we say 5 aggregates, we say Vijnana. Whenever we say mind and matter, that time we say Nam. We don't say Vijnana at that time. We say Nam. Okay. Whenever we talk in Abhidhamma, sometimes we say Mano. And in Abhidhamma, in the overall teaching, we come also with the word, we come across the word Chitta. So all of these things, they mean the same thing. It's the same thing. Chittam, Mano, Nama, Vijnana is the same thing. Right? Now, you must have heard this verse, Mano Pubbangama Dhamma, Mano Siddha, Mano Maya. So let's not do the whole verse. Let's just fixate ourselves on the first sentence. Mano Pubbangama Dhamma, Mano Siddha, Mano. Mano Pubbangama Dhamma. Before all the dharmas are produced, Mana is the chief of that. Mana is the first, is the precursor. Without Mana, without the mind, you don't have the remaining dhammas. First, the Mana comes into the picture, and then the rest of the dhammas come into the picture, right? So Vijnana Khanda basically refers to the mind. And the other khandas, which we can see here, the Sanya Khanda, the Vedana Khanda, the Rupa Khanda, the Sankhara Khanda, they are all the product of the mind. So Vijnana, the Mana comes first, and then all of these other khandas are produced, right? Recently in the news, there has been this statement, especially the West. There is the statement which a person, Google engineer called Blake Lemoine, had made a statement saying that this particular robot has become sentient and has got life. Now that you know that a person is made out of 5 khandas according to Theravada Abhidhamma, what you can do is you can take parts. You can with various mathematical models, with Bayesian models, and with specific studies, you can replicate parts of these khandas, but you cannot make the person as a whole. So you cannot make a robot a sentient person. So what we need to understand is we are just, a heap of these khandas, and we are constantly arising and constantly passing away, and we have no substance left within us. What we have to do is mainly not cling to the concept of an ego. There is no ego in Vedana. There is no ego in Rupa. There is no ego in Vijnana. There is no I in Sankhara. There is no me, mine in Sanya. When all of these come together, according to a person's past karma, a person is formed, right? So with this, I think it would be an ideal time for me to end this lecture, and I'm ready to take any questions from you all. Yes, Sheetal Tai, you've raised your hand. Yes, Tai, I think somebody raised their hand. So
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
your voice is not very clear, Tai.
Yeah. Thank you so much for such an excellent presentation and lecture. It's such a delight to hear you, and I know it's a very extensive topic and may require multiple lecture series. So I would definitely want to invite you once again to.
Thank you so much, Tai. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much. But I'm not able to hear your voice very clearly, Tai.
I'm driving, so may not be
Never
very
mind.
clear. So
Never mind.
I have a question though. So I know we recognize the being and as a nama and a rupa, right? So then that's any being.
Could you type your question, Tai? I'm not able to understand you at all.
Sure,
You're very
sure. I
intelligent.
will type.
Yes. 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 Okay. Yes, Jagannath ji. Yes, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
No, Purva
Jai Bhim, sir.
Namo Bodhaya Jai Bhim.
Namo Buddhaya.
Let me thank you because I found a teacher in you who was who is trying to take me 1 year back, where at Mahabodhi Research Center I was a diploma student in Buddhist studies, and I'm so happy. And I'm happy we had some of the things which you were teaching. So that's the background. I want to conclude by saying that my question is this: is it not worthwhile to communicate these great understandings of Buddhist theology in own mother tongue? For example, today also I found children being prompted by parents to tell Buddha stories. Okay, it's good. See, we also learn I, E, A, B, C, D. Then you make our own words. I'm good. But I think, as Supreme Court of India has said in 1994, and for some political completion, the National Education Policy 2020, education should be in local dialect, in mother tongue. See, then only the free flow of thinking, doing comes into picture. I want to conclude by saying that it is not worthwhile. Is it not worthwhile to consider all our communications as far as possible in their own mother tongue? For example, if students tell a story in their mother tongue and have the English transcript running, scrolling through, it makes a whale of a difference. In fact, without knowing fully the French language, I could translate clear about 6 abstracts for WHO recently in the conference, for a conference. So I want to stop by raising one simple question. Buddhist philosophy is the best possible, perception of mankind. being a
Thank
space
you
scientist.
so much, sir. Your idea is
As
very well
scientist, I'm
taken.
convinced. Hopefully, immediately after my immediate assignment of a PhD program, I will be going for a postdoctoral in Buddhism only, Buddhist theology.
Congratulations. I wish you all the very
Yeah.
best, and your
Yeah, we
idea
can
is
do
very,
it.
very
We have to
well
do it
taken.
because in America, a person has done third PhD at the age of 88. And in Lucknow, one Agarwal has done 2 MPhils at the age of 92. Anyway, I want to stop at that because I always have a guiltness that I am taking time. You see? Anyway, it's okay, perfectly all right. Many thanks for your wonderful insight.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words.
No,
Thank
the
you so
moment
much.
you get into grip of that, everything will be easy. It looks very difficult because our mind is trained for Veda, Upanishad, all myths and all, the traps. If you come out of that, the mask should be taken out. Then everything will be normal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I can see a question in the chat box. Can you please, yes, Sheetal Tai has messaged. Okay. Can you please tell the difference between any living beings and plants, trees, in terms of Panchakhanda? Yes. Well, please remember that we have the Panchakhanda, but I will prefer to tell you in terms of the Rupakhanda. Okay, let's stick to the Rupakhanda. Because it will take a lot of time if we go on to each of the aggregates. We have the 28 rupas, okay, but beyond, in the Kama Loka, we have the, I'm sure you know, Tai, that there are, this is the Kama Loka. If not, then, we can do another presentation on the Lokas, but this is the Kama Loka. Within the Kama Loka, we have the 28 rupas, right? Beyond the Kama Loka, we don't have all the 28 rupas. Beyond, in all the Arupa Lokas, there are 23 rupas, right? Now, in living beings and plants do not possess some of these khandas because this teaching was specifically made for human beings, okay? Not even animals. So the Buddha has made it clear that even though animals may possess these, 5 khandas, but the Buddha has not explained to us. This is a very interesting question. I wish more people would ask this. There is no clear answer for this. But what the Buddha has said is that if you go beyond the Kama Loka, then the number of Rupa aggregates diminish. That's what the Buddha has said. As far as plant matter goes, well, the Pali texts don't really say much about that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Advocate Amaranshji. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay. And yeah, that's it, I guess. Yes, Bondadeji. Yes, Vinayji. Yes.
Hi, this is
Hi.
Vinay.
Hi.
Yeah. Thank you. So, yeah, just not a question, just a comment. The Panchakhanda are like the most important concept in Buddhism, and they work as a building block for the Buddha's teaching, and can be used to express some of his difficult concepts, to understand some of his difficult concepts. And it's very difficult to understand everything in just one sitting, in one lecture. We most probably have to watch your video this session again and again. So this just for everybody else, this session has been recorded. The YouTube link for this session has been pasted in the chat. So I will request everybody to go and watch it and try to rewatch this session again and again, and that will be very helpful.
Thank you, Vinay.
And Purva ma'am, you are able to this is a very huge concept, and you are able to very easily and very briefly able to present us, and it was easy to understand and grasp the concept.
Thank you so
much.
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. There's another question from Sashank ji. Let me read that. Yes, how can we heal our pain with our thoughts? Thank you for the compliment though. Thank you for your compliments. I'm not a spiritual healer. I'm just a teacher. But what I can tell you is that you remember the section we did on Vedana Khanda. So there are these Upekha Vedana. So whatever life throws at you, you have to, मेंटेन उपेक्षा भाव, जिसे हम हिंदी में कहते हैं उपेक्षा भाव हमें रखना चाहिए. So practice meditation. So when one practices meditation, one is in touch with one's innermost self, innermost thoughts, innermost feelings, and one can come face to face with that. So that really helps. It has helped me a lot. So I would, urge you all that try meditation. It would really help us, come into touch with our true selves. In Western psychology, there is this, running trend of getting in touch with your authentic self. People like Freud and Carl Jung, they've written a lot about this, and even the modern psychologists in the Western thought system, Western psychology, they write about this. And whereas in the East, we already have the answers to this question, specifically in Buddhism, is that the Buddha basically abandoned everything, and he came to know, okay, fine. How can I make dukkha disappear? There is dukkha in this world, and how can I make it disappear? So he left his home. He spent 6 years torturing himself, trying all kinds of shramana practices that were prevalent at that time. And then finally, one day, when he sat down under the Bodhi tree, and finally, when he was 7 years old, and there was a plowing festival. And he sat down under this, one tree, rose apple tree. I think in Marathi we say vadacha vriksha. And he paid attention to his breath. And then he found something. He touched a plane where he found some peace of mind. It was not the peace of enlightenment, but it was like a different thing, right? And then he remembered that after 6 years of immense penance and immense austerities, he remembered that experience, and he stuck with that. He said, okay, I will not do all of these austerities now. I will meditate on my breath. So meditating on our breath, as we say in the text, anapana meditation, and then after that, vipassana meditation. This is what will heal us, and this is what the Buddha wants us to do. Even in the famous contemporary book *Sapiens*, the writer of which is Yuval Noah Harari, very famous, thought leader of our current times, and he's also a teacher of Vipassana, by the way. He himself has, recommended, and his books are very well liked by very famous people, by Barack Obama and all of these people. And he also recommends, that meditation is what will bring in touch with our true authentic selves, and we can heal the world with this, not just ourselves. Okay, so there are 3 more messages. Okay, thank you, Rajni Maushi. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much, Harsha ji. Thank you, Mithun ji. If I'm missing someone, please let me know. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Purvaa ji, I don't have any question, but definitely, this topic that you spoke about Panchakhanda is a very important topic, and there's a lot to learn. And definitely, I will have to go back and watch this YouTube link again to understand the depth of this topic. And we would like you to come back again to Vihara session to explain the remaining part of this Panchakhanda.
Sure,
Definitely, the person who is in contact with you definitely will kind of, will let her know to contact you, and that way, we can keep a session open for you. So definitely, I think the viewers on this forum, I think definitely may have more questions, may have to go back and watch the video and may come back again with the questions. I definitely will, because I want to really understand the depth of this topic.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you
was
for
just a glimpse of the topic. The topic is very, very deep, and I hope it would be nice even if you get some essence of it. So I'm happy that you enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So,
Vinay, back.
Hello.
Thank you, ma'am, for this.
Thank you, Amarans. Thank you so much.
This is my first session here, and I'm totally blessed to be here. And the way you told us all about the Dukha, Vedan, and all the things in a very delightful manner.
Thank you so much.
And
I'm
I
very
will
glad you're
session
here.
again to understand all the concept in detail.
I
Thank
was
you.
just worried I am taking too much of your time. That's what I was
You
worried
have
about.
done a wonderful work, and you have expressed your views in a very nice manner. Thank you again for this.
So, Apurva, my name is Kranti, and just wanted to let you know that this was a very good learning for me as well.
Thank you, Kranti. Thank you.
And you mentioned about the force, like upadana, the way you explained the meaning of upadana, the clinging, the way you explain the force, that makes a huge difference for me. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, it is indeed like the nuclear force. And you know what happens when we break the protons out of the nucleus? There's this nuclear blast. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, that made a huge difference for me. Yes, thank you.
Okay, looks like we do not have any further question.
Thank you, Tana.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for your questions and comments. And thank you, Purva ma'am. This was a very enlightening session. We will definitely want to come back and give us another chance to learn from you. So, yeah, I think, thank you for pasting your email.
And so those of you who want to contact me on my email, free to do so. That's my email ID.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I think we can